I wanted to ask, and it's not a big concept here in India, but I was thinking about this purely because of the fact that they're selling flats, which then tie into senior living. A reverse mortgage is something that is very popular in the West, right? Because a lot of people choose not to leave their property, and I know that I'll probably get trolled in the comments for even suggesting this. But frankly, a lot of people are choosing not to have children. So who would they give their flat to if they have inherited or if they've bought? Ultimately, they would have to get rid of the asset. So is a reverse mortgage on the cards?
Oh, absolutely. I think, the reverse mortgage model came into India quite a few years ago, but it hasn't taken off.
Yeah.
For exactly the reason that there are lots of stipulations around the way a reverse mortgage can actually be done. And I think people haven't necessarily got around to accepting that for their children to get this asset, if they have children, they will have to pay the financial institution back a certain amount of money at the end, which sort of is the reverse of what you're actually thinking, saying that, I want to leave this back as a legacy, not the reverse where I want my kids to buy this out.
But how does it work? Can you explain why you're saying that?
Yeah, so typically what will happen is that a reverse mortgage has certain conditions around it, the kind of house you can put in a reverse mortgage, the fact that you have to live in that home, you can't, use it as an income source, etc. Now, once you've gone through that process, there's a certain assumption around life expectancy, etc., that's got built in.
Yeah.
You can't be removed from that home, but at the end of the day, post you, that asset will be liquidated to pay back the financial institution, or the person who's inheriting it has to then pay the financial institution back
in order to
and get the asset.
House. Yeah.
Right. And therefore, that's where the confusion normally happens, because typically most reverse mortgages are built around 20 years. Now, what if you live for 30, 40, 50 years, which, is happening because people are living much longer. And I think there's still this sort of mathematics in people's heads that a reverse mortgage is a bit like a loan that you're taking, and loans in general amongst people who are older are anyway taboo.
Sure.
So it's sort of playing into a psyche which is very hard to overcome.
But do you think that the deals that are currently being offered are lucrative enough? Because that's another aspect. The rate of interest that you're charged, or rather that the bank pays you, is not necessarily a great deal for the people that are going in for this right now.
That's right. But I think the way to think about it is also that, typically whenever you're building long-term projections, especially in a country like India, where over a period of time interest rates should come down, you will find that today's deal will always feel suboptimal, but it'll look great in the future when interest rates have actually gone down.
Okay.
Look at annuities, for example, right? A few years ago, a couple of decades ago, you'd get an annuity giving you close to double-digit returns. At that time, people would be like, put your money in a fixed deposit, you'll get 12%.
Sure.
And today, if someone would offer you a double-digit annuity, you'd be like, oh my God, I want to put all my money there. So I think that's what happens when time passes, that if you are a developing economy, interest rates going down, this transition will happen. And therefore, when you're thinking about your retirement, you will have to look at mixing different things up. There's going to be no one answer. It can't be that, equity is your answer to solve all your retirement problems, or just buying that annuity will solve everything. It's going to be a bit of a mix and match. And I think with senior living as well, I think the decision on whether to rent or to buy is a very, very important decision that you need to make, because you also need to be mindful that you need to enjoy being in that community that you are.
Yeah.
And very often for people who are very busy with their work, it's hard for that to happen. And the good thing is, these communities are now coming into cities. Earlier on, they were always on the outskirts or in smaller cities. And I think that was much harder, because you not only needed to adjust to moving into a different community, but also into a different city and sort of learning.
Or a village, yeah.
Or maybe, a very small town.
Disclaimers: investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.